to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Hello and welcome to the MMA Fan Show. I'm Stu Whiffin. Joining me always, Blake Harrison. How are you, mate?
Very good, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. I'd love to update everybody on what's been happening since the last episode, but all that's happened since the last episode is we both had a wee and refilled our water because we're doing two episodes today.
That's not actually accurate, Whiffin. That's not accurate because I'm assuming this will go out, then our post 313 will go. No, sorry, our pre 313 will go out, then post 313 will go out, then this will come out.
Oh, okay. Loads has happened.
Loads has happened, but we don't know what's happened.
No.
We're currently recording this straight after recording our pre-313 episode. So I'm assuming we have seen what's happened with Pereira and Kalaev, Gaethje, Fiziev, and we've talked about it to you. We've done a post-show. But right now, we don't know what's going on.
No, but what we do know is that this episode is all about you because yous have created the narrative for today's show because it's a listener Q&A episode. So we've done a last minute thing because obviously Blake's in Australia. So the opportunities for us to both sort of get together and record these are sort of a few and far between. So the fact that...
Not only that, but Cyclone Alfred's about to hit. So I may not have any power or any ability to even record these in the next few days. So we decided we'll get this in. Yeah. So we're getting this in just in case, and hopefully it goes out after our post show. But if we don't get a post show in, which would be the first time we would ever not done a post show. We've done a post show for every pay-per-view since starting this for the last few years, whatever it's been. And so it'd be a shame if we break that tradition.
Absolutely.
But needs must, and we'll have to see what old Cyclone Alfred's got to say about our recording podcasts and the UFC. There's a bar down the road from me, and I literally went in there today and be like, "You're going to be open Sunday morning so I can watch the UFC?" And they were like, "We hope so, but we don't know." So I was like, because my discovery, unless someone can help me, I don't know if it's okay to talk that. I've got the Discovery Plus app. I do the TNT Sports.
You're
and everything.
doing a tech question, but
yeah.
message
I
in.
mean, it's be too late now, as I've already said. But maybe someone could help me. I've got my old Nord VPN going, and it still won't let me play anything anything live from the Discovery Plus app. So I have to go to this bar to watch it, and if they're not open, I don't even know if I'll be watching UFC 313.
Message in, guys. Message in.
Any help would be greatly appreciated, just so I can watch my UFC. That'd be good. And my gift to you give that gift to me. And my gift to you is a discount code for Fat Candy, which is
seamless.
Look at that. Seamless little plug for the sponsors. Fat Candy, where you get all your sugary goodness, all your pick and mix sweets and things like that. Freeze dried, so they blow up. They're crunchy. They're delicious. Go and stick those in your gob, and you can go onto the Fat Candy website and put in a discount code SWEETMMA. That's SWEETMMA. They're good little pots. They're gifts. If you got someone a little birthday present or something like that, little stocking filler. I mean, it's not stocking season, really, is it? But if you got a little, an out there Easter treat, don't worry about your eggs and your chocolates. Have some Fat Candy sweets. Mix it up a bit. Be a maverick this Easter and get your mates or your kids some Fat Candy sweets rather than the Easter eggs.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Look, yous have been wonderful. We literally, I put a little video up yesterday just because I spoke to Blake and it was like, right, we're going to do this Q&A episode. Let's see if anybody comes back with some questions, if we throw them out there and see what we can get in 24 hours. You lot, as ever, have been absolutely wonderful and have chimed in with lots of great questions, which we are going to dig into. I've got a load on my phone. You've got some in front of you, right?
Yes. Do you want to fire away the first one?
No, I thought you was going to do that, so I haven't got my phone in my hand.
Okay, I'll do that then. Okay, so There you go. _M.Ali4. With so many bad judging decisions we see all the time, if judges had to do post-fight interviews, do you believe there would be less bad decisions if the judges had to explain their scoring? Do you want me to take this first?
Yeah, go on. You can do that one.
So I kind of feel like I need to answer this question in two parts. First, I don't think the judging decisions are as bad as you think they are. I think you do get the odd bad judging decision, but a lot of the time, I think what's going on is people don't understand the scoring criteria. So they moan about things because they're like, oh, this guy dominated. It's like, yeah, but he didn't do any damage and the other guy did do damage. Or, oh, yeah, but he got the takedown. Yeah, no. Takedown's just a change of position, mate. It doesn't mean anything. So understanding the scoring criteria, I think most of the time will enable you to go, okay, I don't agree with that decision. This is something Sean Sheehan said on our show. Sean Sheehan over from Severe MMA. He was really great guest on our show a while ago now, a couple of years ago. And he was saying it's not a science of agreement. It's a science of understanding. And it's okay to disagree with a judging decision, but understand how a judge got there. And therefore, it's not a robbery. It's not anything you need to complain about. There's loads of times where I will watch a fight or talk about fights on this show and go, oh, yeah, I'll rewatch that fight. I definitely scored it for Dominic Reyes, or I definitely scored it for Fiziev, or whatever it is. But I'm not going to say, oh, that's a robbery, because I can understand how a judge scored this over this, even though I didn't. And I think kind of opening your mind up to that a little bit would be helpful and would make you less frustrated. I think also, I don't know M.Ali4 if you are a gambler, but I think a lot of the time what happens with people complaining about judges in MMA, more often than not, they've got a few shekels down on a fighter and things have not gone their way. And I think that leads to people being a little bit more emotionally invested and, again, not able to sort of step back and see it from the judge's perspective.
And gambling aside as well, just people's favourite fighters. You know, if it's your favourite fighter and it's a relatively close fight and it doesn't go the way that you want it to go, it's a very easy moan. I don't like the idea of judges doing, post-fight interviews in the media room. I'm not down with it.
Well, this was the second part of my answer, and I would say I actually do like the idea of not necessarily the individual judges coming out, but someone who represents the judges. And you know what? I've got more of a problem with the refs lately than the judges. The refs, like the eye poke situation with Manel Kape last week was, I mean, it'll be a few weeks when this comes out, I guess. But Manel Kape versus Mokaev, those eye pokes were bad. They massively impacted the fight. I do think Kape was going to go on to win anyway. But referees enforcing the rules, taking points away, sterner warnings, whatever it is, that is a way bigger problem in this sport than the judging for me at the moment. I think that's a way bigger problem. At the moment, it feels like fighters should just cheat. Cheat as much as you want, because the chances of you actually getting a point taken away is incredibly rare. Yeah. So you might as well just cheat. So I wonder if having an individual that represents the refs and or the judges coming out in a press conference and saying, yes, this fight, a lot of people have found that controversial. Here's why he scored it that way. And we stand by that. And we think that was the right thing for him from his position. It's very easy to score it, watching it on TV with the monitors, all the right angles. From his position, he didn't see that. So he scored it, which makes sense. And that's why you have 3 judges rather than just 1, because they're all seeing it from a different angle and they can collectively score the fight correctly. Now, that's not to say that there aren't some bad decisions. There are some bad decisions, but I don't think they're as common as you think. But I do actually like the idea of someone stepping forward and saying, the reason that this ref didn't call that as an eye poke was this, or the reason that we went into round 4 like that Henry Cejudo fight was because of this, and it's written in the rules that he had to do that rather than stop it in the 3rd so that it was a no contest and it went to the judges' scorecards. So, and I think what that will do is it will enable fans to have a clearer grasp of the scoring criteria, the rule book for the referees and all that stuff. And it might actually lead to a better relationship between fans and judges and refs and stuff like that. So I'm kind of for that, but in the right way. What you don't want is judges being forced to go out there and talk about decisions to, you know, the mob with their pitchforks out and stuff like that. And again, if there's money involved or, as you said, like just love for a fighter, people can, again, they just not think logically and just act emotionally and stuff like that. So I hope that answers your question. And you may disagree with me, which is absolutely fine. What have you got with?
From Charlie Jackson. Thanks, Charlie. Do you think we will see Mohamed Mokaev back in the UFC?
This is a really easy one for me. It's a yes. He's very young and flyweight sort of needs bodies, I think, in a lot of ways. So yes, I don't know when, but I think we see him back.
Okay. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Yeah, just the fact that they got rid of somebody that had that record. Yeah, I don't know what's gone on behind the scenes. But yeah, I don't know. They do not like him. And I don't know. I don't necessarily think we're going to see him again.
Interesting. Right. Deck Spratt. Do you think the UFC will introduce a 165-pound division? And he's got a second question as well. Who is most likely to achieve champ status in 3 weight classes, and would that make them the GOAT? Which of those do you want to tackle first, Stu? Will they introduce a 165-pound division, or who's most likely to achieve champ status in 3 weight classes?
I don't think they're bringing another weight division in. I don't see it. I think they like how the UFC works. I think they like the setup, the infrastructure, and I don't see them doing that. If something is a big enough fight and they want to do it at some sort of catch weight, then fine. Like I don't see it. You?
No, only because I think Dana has spoken before about how, you know, boxing has been diluted by too many belts. He's afraid of that. So he doesn't want extra belts. He kind of, as you say, I think he likes the way it operates. I would say I would like to see it. I'd like to see it to go like 35, 45, 55, 65, then 75, 85, and then you could go 205 if you want to, whatever, like it is now. But I think the best divisions in this sport are between bantamweight and welterweight. They're the best divisions. So adding another weight class there, especially when the UFC are at times so desperate for titles to be defended on their pay-per-views that they create interim belts when there's no need for them. I think adding another belt in the strongest area of the sport, that kind of 155, 170 range, I think it'd be a great idea. I don't think there'd be a problem with that. I don't think it would dilute the sport not too much. I'd be all for it.
3-weight champ. Anyone jump at you?
Well, the person most likely to achieve free weight class champ status at the moment is Alex Pereira, because he's already got 2. So he's already got 2, and the chances are he will move up to heavyweight, and the chances are he will get big fights. And as we've seen with Pereira, the guy hits like a truck. So there is the possibility. Like, I would favor John Jones. I would favor Tom Aspinall against Pereira. But that doesn't mean he doesn't sneak in one of those devastating left hooks and knock someone out. It's very possible. So he's the most likely to achieve it at the moment. Does it make him the GOAT? I don't think it makes him the GOAT, though. I think it makes him like a great. I think for me, the longevity of defending that belt over and over and over again that's what creates a GOAT for me. And so Yeah, it would be amazing. It would be historic, and he would be an all-time great for sure. But I don't think that makes you the GOAT. I think defending that belt for years and years and years is what makes you the GOAT. And people can say, yeah, but no one's been a free weight class champ before, whereas people have had long defenses. But the thing is, I would argue, back in the days where BJ Penn and Anderson Silva and most of John Jones' light heavyweight run, when they were champs and they were doing those long reigning title defenses, being a champ wasn't a thing. Conor
Agreed.
came in and changed all that in 2016. So everyone that was prior to Conor never really had the opportunity to do the champ thing. And BJ Penn went up in weight. Anderson Silva went up in weight. But Anderson Silva didn't fight for a light heavyweight belt, did it?
No.
Did BJ Penn fought for multiple belts, though, did he?
Yeah.
Hasn't he been a champ in multiple weight classes, BJ Penn? But just not at the same time.
Not at the same time.
No, I'm trying to remember. I wonder. I may be wrong in that. My historical MMA knowledge isn't as good as yours. But
okay.
But yeah, but I don't think that would make him the GOAT. But I think he's the most likely to do it because he's got 2 out of 3 already,
Exactly.
and I think he will move up to heavyweight before his career's done.
KT Smith 679 message. What's next for Alex Pereira? Should he beat Ankalaev? I think we've just pretty much covered that in your answer there. And we also
by the
discussed
time
that.
this comes out, we'll know.
We'll know exactly. Yeah.
What's going on?
So I'm going to say, all right. So from Matt Nugent, what do you think is the most important discipline to learn for MMA? Oh, this is gonna piss people off. Boxers love their boxing. Muay Thai fighters love their Muay Thai. Wrestlers love their wrestling, and BJJ fighters love their BJJ. I am a Muay Thai. You know, I love Muay Thai. It is, you know, it's the only discipline I've ever trained in. I've done a bit of boxing, and I love watching Muay Thai strikers do their thing. But for me, in 2025, I'm going to say wrestling.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because most of the time you would say wrestling, because once you get them down, if your wrestling is great, I mean, we'll potentially see it with Bo Nickel. We've maybe seen it with Khamzat Chimaev. Obviously, Khabib was basically just a wrestler. I mean, he had good jiu-jitsu as well, but he could just beat you up with the wrestling if he wanted to. So I'd say the answer is probably wrestling, but we have seen the likes of Alex Pereira, as we just said, coming in and absolutely doing bits. Now, by the time this show's out, we will see whether he knocked Ankalaev out or whether Ankalaev has wrestled him. And, you know, that's the thing. What Israel Adesanya had is he was an elite level kickboxer, but he didn't just have the kickboxing because he had great takedown defense. Jose Aldo, not just great Muay Thai, great takedown defense. And so those things play a part. So it's a tricky one because people have
Leon Edwards.
really
Edwards, great takedown defense.
I think he's an all rounder though. He can grapple well. As I think if he fought Jack Della when that was meant to be booked before Jack's now fighting Bilal. If he fought Jack Della, I would say Leon's probably going to go to the grappling. So I don't think of him as a pure striker, but I would lean. I'd say you're right. I'd say it's probably wrestling is your best base, but I do think there's an argument to be made for Muay Thai, kickboxing, and stuff like that at the moment as well. We've seen strikers do it.
What you got?
So Maximilian Hackney.
That's a good name.
You think? I know. When do you think the new wave of talent will take over from the older ones in the rankings, like Max, Volk, and Izzy? In a lot of ways, I think that's kind of already happened.
Yeah.
You know, it was only a couple of years ago that we were going, middleweight has got DDP and it's got Imavov, and now look, DDP's the champ. Imamov's just beat Izzy. We also talked about Andre Muniz, but we won't go into that. And then when you look at featherweight, Volk came through and dispatched of Max. Then Ilia Toporia's come through and dispatched of Volk. I mean, maybe if Volk beats Lopez, you can say, well, obviously he's still champ, he's still around. If he loses, maybe that's again already happening. Those young guns are coming through. It happens to everyone not named Khabib or GSP and only because they retired early, not because they were anything more special than that. So yeah, I think that and
also
we're already seeing that happening.
And it's just going to evolve and evolve and evolve, isn't it? And I think that I agree with you there, Blake. That we're seeing it happen. I mean, I wouldn't say Makachev's one of the old guard. Do you know what I mean? He's still relatively new as a as a champ, and I think I think he's got a long way to go yet. And I think we're seeing it happen right now. Right, okay. So someone has asked, Bloodbath only. Asked about the fights that are going down this weekend.
Bloodbath only.
Yeah.
I mean, he likes MMA, doesn't he?
Yeah, 100%.
Bloodbath only.
Go check out our pre-fight show and our post-fight show, and we'll discuss what we think was going to happen, and then we'll also discuss what happened there. Okay, what have we got here? Okay, from M.1. Who wins in a fight if every current champion was to fight the GOAT of their division in their primes?
We did this only recently on our other Q&A episode.
We did, didn't we?
I'm trying to feel. I don't want to leave you hanging for asking, because you asked us that question, but we did do this only like a couple of months ago.
I'll throw one in.
So it'd be DJ would fight. Who's the current champ? Pantoja. I'd have to lean DJ. Is it Prime as well? Are they coming back Prime?
Yeah.
DJ all day long. Bantamweight. Are you saying it's Dominic Cruz is the best bantamweight of all time?
Ooh. I guess so.
I mean, it's injuries that messed him up, isn't it? Now he's retired. You think, God, he had so much time out of injuries. If he didn't have those injuries, he probably would have been having many more title defenses than what he actually had. I mean, you could say it's Aljo. I mean, Merab's the champ at the moment. Merab's such a beast. I don't know. Prime Dom versus Merab. I think I'd lead Dominic Cruz, actually. Prime Dom versus Merab. Featherweight, are we talking Prime Jose Aldo is the best featherweight, or are we going Volk? What are we doing for Prime? Like, who's the featherweight GOAT for you? It's probably Aldo, or is it Volk?
If Volk wins, becomes a champ again, I think it's Volk.
Yeah. I mean, Aldo was undefeated for like 9 years.
Yeah.
Like, it was insane how long Aldo was.
I think Henan Burrell was undefeated for like something like 26 years, and then like literally was just beaten like for about 30 fights consecutively after that loss to TJ. So Henan Burrell, sorry,
sounds a bit like he was on something there, doesn't it? Like, they brought in some restrictions. Oh, not carting any aspersions.
Let's say Volk.
Well, I mean, look, Volk could be the champ.
Yeah. All right.
And he's about to fight with Baker Dots. So I think we ignore that one. It's because if it's Volk v Aldo, we've seen it. And
so we say Jose versus Ilya.
But he's not the champ anymore.
No, I know, but it's Volk, and we've seen that.
No.
Let's move on.
I don't know. Prime Jose versus Ilya. Maybe I'd lean Ilya. I just think Ilya's so good.
Yeah, man.
I think he could go. I think Ilya might go on to be a great, but I do think the moving to lightweight could scupper all the plans. I think he should have stayed at featherweight. Anyway, lightweight, you've got either Khabib or BJ Penn, whichever one you want. Or you could say Mokaev is the GOAT because he's got the most title defenses. I just always thought Khabib was better. I'm going to lean Mokaev.
Okay.
Only Mokaev. I'm trying to rattle through these without too much consideration because we have answered this only recently.
DDP versus Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva all day long.
Do you reckon he can handle DDP's just mental?
Easy.
Yeah. What's welterweight though? Welterweight, would that be GSP fighting? Who's welterweight champ? Bilal. Oh, GSP.
Yeah. What was so brilliant there was you'd forgotten who it was because it's so uninteresting.
I did not remember the name. Well,
that says a lot. And didn't even blink about going, GSP.
So John Jones versus Who's like heavyweight champion? Alex Pereira. You got to go John Jones. John Jones would beat Pereira, prime John Jones. And then heavyweight, you've got John Jones or Tom Aspinall, depending on how you want to see it, versus, I mean, he's saying it's Stipe.
Tom Aspinall beats
prime
Stipe.
Tom Aspinall. So what about strawweight? We had conversations about who's the GOAT. I mean, Zhang might be the GOAT, and she's the current champ.
Yeah, she is the GOAT and the current champ.
Valentina is the GOAT and the current champ.
Yeah.
And then you've got Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. And Nunes, I think, would smash her up, even though they're 1-1. So, yeah, there you go. We've just rattled through them very quickly. Generic meme account. Do you think Jones is purposely stalling the fight with Tom out of spite for Tom to ruin his future legacy, or just regular Jones business? I think
Can I answer this?
Yeah.
He's scared to fight him. He doesn't want that smoke at all. He chose to fight Stipe Miocic, right? Look, John Jones shouldn't be scared of anyone. He's, arguably the GOAT. I just think he's getting old and he wants his legacy. But there's, when he's fighting Stipe and the American fans are chanting Tom Aspinall, there's only one fight that a champion should fight, and that is the interim champion, the guy that is on a fucking tear, that he's crying out for his shot. A champion, Anderson Silva, GSP, any of them would have just gone, I'll fight the best. Win, lose or draw, I'll fight the best. John Jones is not doing that. He doesn't want that smoke. If he did, that fight would have been made ages ago. He does not want that fight. I don't think he's doing it out of spite. I don't think he's trying to mess up or get into Tom Aspinall's head in any way, shape or form. I just think he knows he can't win that fight and he's going to try and think of ways to get in and around it. I think he's going to wait and see what happens with Pereira, and if there's a potential fight there, because he knows that's a winnable fight, he can wrestle that and get the win. Whereas if he wrestles with Tom Aspinall and it goes, Tom's got great wrestling, great BJJ, Tom's faster than John Jones, and I think he knows full well that when you look at how Tom has been looking, chances are he's going to crack like a fucking truck on John Jones' stupid face.
Well, that's going on the socials. There you go, Whiffin. There you go, Whiffin's ran. Yeah, I'm not quite as passionate as you are about it, but I think it's nothing to do with spite. It's business. Jones' legacy is what is important to John Jones, but I do think it comes at a price. And I think that if he was offered 100 million, he would take that fight all day. And he would fight Tom Aspinall because it's worth the risk, because it's crazy money. But he's not being paid anywhere near that kind of money to take the fight. So he's saying, if you want to pay me what you pay me regularly, I will fight Stipe Miocic. I will fight Alex Pereira, because they're fights he can win and keep that legacy intact.
That's not how it works.
Well, it clearly does, because it's happening at the moment.
What's the point in having rankings? What is the point in having an interim champion that can't fight?
Hey, look, the UFC make this work for themselves when they want it. I mean, we've seen fighters get title fights when maybe they shouldn't, or get fast-tracked and have favourable matches. It happens. But, yeah, I think for the right money, Jones would sign up for the Aspinall fight, but it has to be the right money. And when I say that, I think it has to be huge, huge, huge sums of money. Otherwise, he's not interested, because it's not worth the risk to his legacy.
All right.
That's what I think it is.
Strip him of the belt. Strip him of the belt if he's not going to defend it. Right? Let Tom fight whoever for the belt, Alex Pereira for the belt, whatever. Like, let the interim champ have that belt, right? Whether he fights for it or not, right? He deserves that, because John Jones is not fighting. He's just sitting there holding up everything. And then with Tom the champ, if for some reason Tom then starches whoever's left in that division he hasn't fought, there's not many, and let's say for instance Tom beats Alex Pereira, then there's still mega money in John Jones coming out of retirement, however you frame it, to come and beat Tom Aspinall. There's still the mega money in that fight, whether Jones is the champ or not. I think there's still always going to be mega money in John Jones fighting Tom Aspinall. But if you're just going to sit there being a tit, just park it up, give the belt up, and just, talk about your legacy. But you can't talk about your legacy if you're not defending your belt against the best. You can't do that. But what we're seeing, unfortunately, is that the UFC seem to be allowing it.
How would you feel if Tom went, screw it, give me an interim title defense? I know he's come out and said, I'm not fighting another fight unless it's for the undisputed title. But do you think it would put more pressure on John Jones if he went out and went, look, I'm ready to fight. Give me a fight in 2 months' time. Book it. Jailton Almeida, Cyril Gane, it doesn't matter. I will defend the interim belt again. I will have 2 interim title defenses. Hurry the fuck up, John Jones, and come fight me. And just because at the moment, Tom Aspinall is sort of more and more just fading into the background. And we're just getting on with life. If he went, I've got a fight booked, I'm fighting Cyril Gane. I've got a fight book, I'm fighting Jailton Almeida. I'm defending the interim title in the UK or wherever in July. That's happening. I want to fight John Jones. I want my fight to be for the undisputed belt, but John Jones keeps ducking me. So I have to do this because I've got to earn money for my family. I think people will go, that's sympathetic. We'll be sympathetic towards him because of the situation he's in. Also, we'll be like, oh, what a good, he's just going out there and fighting everyone. We love that. Just fighting. He's not just sitting, he's going out and fighting. And I think that would put more pressure on John Jones. I know it's a risk because if he loses, he's lost it all. But I just wonder if it's worth taking that risk, because otherwise I just don't know if Jones is taking the fight.
Fine, strip him.
Yeah, but the UFC aren't going to do that. He fought in November. I just don't think the UFC are going to do that.
So annoying. Right, what we got? Let's have a look.
Harvey _ go on, New.
No, go on. What you got?
Harvey _ Rhodes 56. How far do you think the fighting nerds can go in the UFC? I love the fighting nerds. I think they've got a great gimmick with the glasses. I think more gyms should do that to identify themselves a bit more and stand out from the crowd. I think that whole kind of team thing, we all wear the glasses in the post-fight interviews. I love it. I think it's a great thing to do. All their fighters are really fun. I think they're a gym that a lot of fans are getting to know and getting to enjoy. I think mainly because of the glasses gimmick, to be honest. Yeah. But also, in their 4 main fighters all went undefeated last year in the UFC. I think that's Carl Borralho, Jan Silva, Mauricio Ruffi, and Carlos Prates. Now, obviously, we are recording this before UFC 313, where Ruffi fought in green. So we don't know what's happened in that fight yet. I've predicted that Ruffi won. I think you were leaning maybe King Green. Mm-hmm. But if that's a win for Ruffi, then we've got Carl Borralho, maybe a win away from a title shot. Jan Silva has got Bryce Mitchell coming up. I think pretty much everyone is hoping he knocks 7 shades of shit out of him. And Gene Silva's a really fun fighter. And Carlos Prates is really fun. I think all of those fighters can be ranked in the top 15, maybe the top 10, definitely top 15 of their weight classes. Can any of them win a belt? I'm not sure. And maybe your best shot at the moment is Carl Borralho because he's close. But I mean, featherweight's so good. The thing Jan Silva is looking good. I don't think Ruffi can win at lightweight. I don't think he can win a title. And I don't think Prates would win a title at welterweight either. But maybe I'm wrong. But I think there's enough people better than him at welterweight. And as things go on, they will come up against people that are just too tough for them, I think. But maybe Borralho is your best shot. But they're still a great gym, a really great gym. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, speaking of people wearing nerdy glasses, from Mosquito, are there any other in-betweeners, boys, into MMA? Because seeing them all on an episode would be an awesome crossover.
I think James might have been a fan for a bit. I don't know if he still is. I think he was doing a tiny bit of Muay Thai for a while.
He was. He was training with Jason Woodham of the Muay Thai Muppets. He done a little bit with him back in a long time ago now. But I can't imagine. I mean, I don't know the other two, but I can't imagine that they'd be into MMA.
No, I don't think Simon or Joe would be into MMA. I mean, I think Joe would kind of give anything a go, really, but I don't think they'd be into MMA. No, I don't think it's their thing. So I wouldn't hold your breath for that episode, guys. So there's someone that is literally just, that wind or fart emoji. Just the gas.
That's the question. I couldn't see what the name was. But
yeah. There's no name. It's just the fart emoji. So good luck to you, sir. Loving that. What's your Paddy v Chandler prediction? He says and fighting nerds in 2025, but we'll stick with Paddy and Chandler because we just had a fighting nerds question. I think Paddy's going to win. And I mean, I think Paddy does it. I think Chandler is very much over the hill. I think Paddy is getting better and better. I think people were underestimating him for a long time. I think Paddy can get the job done against Chandler and he could be one away from a title shot maybe. Who knows?
I want Paddy to win. And, as I've said before, most Paddy fights, I worry about his hands being low. But at the moment, you can't question him. Every time people have doubted Paddy, he's proved them wrong. And his head must be in a really good space now. So I think there's a very big possibility that he gets the win over Michael Chandler. I'd love to see it.
Yep. What else have you got?
Have we done that one? Right.
I can do one. Brandon Eldridge MMA. Now, this is an interesting one. He says, more of a statement than a question. I think fighters shouldn't be able to moan about fighter pay when they know what they're signing up for. I have to say, I couldn't disagree with you more, Brandon Eldridge MMA. The fact that you have MMA in your name makes me think that you're possibly a fighter or a coach or something like that. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
read the question again, Blake. Sorry.
He said, more of a statement than a question. I think fighters shouldn't be able to moan about fighter pay when they know what they're signing up for. I think the problem with that is, yes, they do know what they're signing up for, but what's the other option?
The option is that you're signing to the biggest organisation to get on the biggest platform, to be the best in the world in the biggest organisation. But that's why they've got you. They've got you there, but that shouldn't necessarily mean that you don't get paid right if you're the best in the world. And I do totally agree with you, Blake, that just because they're the biggest, if they're the biggest organisation in the world, which they are, they've got the biggest budgets and they should look after their investments, their fighters, and they should pay them handsomely. And just look at boxing. And I'd be curious to see what money starts floating about in Dana's new organisation. Alongside what he's paying the UFC fighters. That will be really interesting.
I mean, the thing for me is it's not even the established stars, it's the ones starting out. It's like the whole class action lawsuit that was settled recently was all about the fact that UFC have basically created a monopoly on that industry. Mm-hmm. So there are no viable options. I mean, yes, Bellator might pay you a tiny bit more. Yes, now that's the PFL and maybe they'll pay you a tiny bit more. But ultimately, the UFC is the biggest show in town. If you go with one of those other organizations, and again, there's not many options. It's kind of just those two, really. I know there's one championship, but there's issues there and they don't have many MMA fights anymore. They're doing more Muay Thai stuff. And then there's regional things where you just don't earn enough money. And so, they know what they're signing up for, but there's not many other options or any other options. Like whatever you do for
monopoly is the word, like they've put a monopoly on it. It is.
Whatever you do for a living, if the company is so dominant over the other competition that there's no better option, then you still feel like you must be treated fairly. The UFC are valued at about 12 billion. 12 billion.
And isn't it funny?
And that is not going into the fighters' pockets.
And how funny is that when they do that thing where they go, oh, Dana's just agreed in the media thing to give another 50 grand to blah, blah, 50 grand. Like, what the fuck does that matter to an organisation like that? Yet everybody's jumping through hoops. A boxer wouldn't give a shit about that at the elite level.
The other thing about the 50 grand bonuses, we may be slightly getting off topic, but the other thing about the 50 grand bonuses is they've been 50 grand for like the last 20 years. That's not really gone up with inflation, is it? So like if you took it together inflation, it'd probably be like a 200 grand bonus by now. I mean, I'm not a mathematician. I don't know if that's accurate, but it'd definitely be way more than what it currently is. I mean, other organizations, the UFC would dispute they're like these organizations, but there are other organizations that are massive promotions in America, like the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL, all these stuff. And they have, because the athletes are unionized, which you can sort of blame the fighters for the fact that they're not unionized. They've had opportunities to do it and they haven't done it. So, because fight sports is a solitary sport, it's very difficult to trust people, I think. So, and you're going up against Dana and the UFC if you're trying to unionize, and they've squashed those things in the past, I think. So if you're not unionized, you don't really have the opportunity to make changes. But if they had a union, like some of these other organizations that I've mentioned have, then they'd be getting split pots. They'd be getting way more money from the revenue that these companies create, like those other organizations have with their athletes. But the UFC doesn't need to do that. And then they're coming in and talking about boxing and talking about getting rid of the Muhammad Ali Act. It's, this may be, times may get leaner and leaner across all combat sports over the next few years. We will have to see, especially for people lower down, not those elite athletes, but people lower down the rankings and lower down more grassroots level.
And ultimately, they're putting their fucking lives on the line. Look after them.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a question from Rowan Buxton. Hi, guys. Just curious as to who you think will be the next pound for pound number one after Islam. I'm going to throw my name in there, and I'm going to go Ilia Topuria.
I thought you said I'm going to throw my name in there. Stu Griffin.
It's up there. I've got a few more to go, but like, you never know, mate. Going to make a comeback at 51.
Well, 2, 3, and 4 are Jones, Pereira, and Ilia Topuria in that order. I mean, John Jones with a win against anyone, I'm sure there'll be pressure to put him as the pound for pound number one. And if he were to beat Pereira or definitely Tom Aspinall, I think he's got ace, but I do think I would prefer Islam being the pound for pound number one just because he's more active. If Pereira goes out there and beats Ankalaev and then were to go up to heavyweight and beat either Tom or John Jones, I would have no problem with him being the pound for pound number one at all.
If Ilia goes up and beats Mokaev?
Yeah, probably, because Makachev's number one, he'd have to become number one, right? So there's that outside chance for Tom Aspinall. If Tom Aspinall, who's about 8th, I think, in the pound for pound rankings, if he were to beat a Pereira or a Jones, or ideally both within like a 12-month period, I think you could see him up to the top of those rankings as well. But it's going to be hard to get past Mokaev because I think A, he's brilliant. He's probably not going to get beat for a while, and B, he's more active and he's more he's got loads of title defenses and stuff.
Agreed.
Now. He's got 4 title defenses. So yeah, so I think that is that. There's one other question I think I've seen here by Jacob Fitch. What's your thoughts on the recent eye poke, Song versus Henry and Cape from last week? Surely Cape win should be overturned to a no contest. 2 back-to-back eye pokes that lead to a finish. The Henry Cejudo Song Yudong was a bit of a weird one. It was a bad eye poke. But the whole thing about, I like the fact that he took the 5 minutes. I know, I feel like Henry Cejudo's being slightly punished for taking those 5 minutes, because I think it's probably very boring TV for people. But I think more fighters should do it. If you get eye poked or a kick to the winks, then I think you should be allowed that 5 minits. In the rule book. You have 5 minutes.
It's your eyes.
It's literally your eyes. So yeah, but I think I don't know what the crack was with why it didn't get stopped earlier. Maybe Cejudo was trying to be a bit of a soldier, got through, and then it went to round 4, and then they went to the scorecards rather than a no contest. But fine.
And there's always going to be talk about the design of the gloves, isn't there? And like, I think, we mentioned before, is Trevor Whitman, wasn't it, has designed a glove, which everybody that's tried them on says they're the best gloves for MMA. But from what the story is out there, how much of it is true, apparently, I think he wanted too much money because the UFC were entertaining talks with him about the design and kind of...
Well, they tried to change the gloves, didn't they? They changed the gloves. I can't remember if there were less eye pokes. I think there were less eye pokes, but there was also less knockouts, and people were moaning about that. But there wasn't a really long kind of trial period for them. It was only a few months. People could have got used to them maybe. But yeah, I don't know. The Manel Cap one was bad. He did 2 that scraped his eyes, and the ref didn't see either of them. And then it led to a finish. Like, yeah, I agree. I think that one was really bad. I do think Cap was going on to win that fight.
It was, but the whole protect yourself at all time thing, right? I'm an advocate of that, right? But he put his hand up to say, I've just been poked in the eye again. And the ref didn't acknowledge anything. And I thought that was piss poor.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like we've had questions about judges on this. I think the refs is more the issue at the moment. And I say that as like, I think Jason Herzog a lot of the time is pretty good, even though he was in the Cejudo someone. I think Mark Goddard's usually very, very good, and we've had Goddard on the show, and I'm a big fan of his. And I think reffing must be such a tough job. I don't want to seem like I'm, slagging off the refs or anything like that. But I do think they need to be a bit better at actually enforcing the rules and taking points away or something like that. Something needs to be done, because the fact that Cat can just get that win after 2 blatant eye pokes, I don't think that's a good look for the sport. And he's probably going to get a title shot now. And for me, I'm less interested in it because of the nature of this stoppage. And I think if you take points away more freely, then you'll see less eye pokes. Yeah. People will stop fighting like that with their fingers out, and they'll start fighting like that. They just will. So, yeah. I think that's all the questions I have. Do you have any more questions?
No, we are done. Thank you all so much for sending in your questions. I'm sure during Blake's time away, we'll probably try and get another one of these in, because they're they don't require loads of prep, do they? We could just shoot from the hip, which is always nice. So yeah, we'll I'm sure we'll do another one of them in the coming weeks. But yeah, other than that, thank you ever so much for listening or watching. If you've not watched the show yet, why not head over to YouTube? I mean, this one is obviously, and the next few are going to be recorded remotely whilst Blake's overseas. Other than that, we're normally in our lovely little Swiss studio, and yeah, go and have a little look and subscribe. But yeah, wherever you get this show, thanks ever so much for listening and following and watching and all of that gubbins. Thanks to our sponsor, Fat Candy. Go over there, check out their freeze-dried sweets, and use that discount code SWEETMMA. That's over at fatcandy.com. Other than that, all that's left for us to say is thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye.